Heroes and heroines of all ages. When the world tells you to get a life, you're always welcome at the One Up Block. My name is Dan the Man, your host, and welcome back to another episode of Let's Play Persona 1. When we last left off, we prevented Maki's mother from being murdered by us. She looked like a demon, and if we made the poor choice of attacking her anyway, we would have murdered her, and that would have been no good, but we prevented it because I know what I'm doing with this game. Don't worry about it, guys. But, yeah, and after that we got teleported to Deva Yuga, which is where we are now, and that's about the gist of it. We've talked about what these buildings are. It's mostly just, item shops, healing springs, and I think there's a velvet room here, but it doesn't matter. We're not gonna worry about it. Deva Yuga is pretty simple. It's pretty straightforward. It's linear, as long as you know where you're going, and I mostly do, so, you know, there's that. I'm also probably going to be trying to use as little, what do you call it, the thing that wards off weak enemies as much as possible, because I do want to show off some stuff, but sometimes you can't help it. Sometimes you gotta avoid enemy encounters because, you get a little tired of it sometimes. Yeah, let's just, the good old auto attack is still just as good as ever. It's gonna be, for the majority of this game, it's automated. I think we've talked about this as well. But, and this is why running into enemies a shit ton is annoying. So what I think I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna let the game, we're gonna run into a couple of enemy encounters. When it starts to get annoying, I'm just gonna use the, ward off weak enemies. Because at this point, there's nothing left that I need to do. I don't need to... Oh, why did I choose to shoot him? I have no idea. But at this point in time, I have no need for any more cards or demons or whatever. At least not right now. Nothing that I can't do later. So, like, I don't need to talk to demons. I don't need to grind anymore. Gosh knows I don't need to grind anymore. So, like, fighting enemies at this point is kind of pointless, but I suppose because this is a Let's Play, you're probably curious as to what kind of enemies you're going to run into in the area, so I'll try to fight as many as I can, but then if I get if the battles keep happening too frequently like they are right now, then I'll probably just, avoid them. We also got back attacks, so that's great, but it doesn't matter. We're all using mostly magic attacks, so the fact that our formation was readjusted has no impact on our battling ability whatsoever. So that's fine. But what you're doing here is you're looking for all the staircases, and like I said before, this place is almost entirely linear, so it looks like they have winding corridors and stuff, but it's not really that bad. And as you can also see, the enemy encounters that we're running into are incredibly weak to Megiddola, so you can use the Megiddola trick to just get through here without needing to worry about it. If you're curious as to what that door was, it was a save, and I do not need to save right now, so we're not going to bother with it. Bada boom, bada bing. I think these guys, they're weak to... Everything is weak to Megiddola. That's the way of the world. That's how things function. And other than that, this is, visually watching me do all this is probably pretty boring. We're getting to the end of Persona 1, and as much as I love Persona 1, it's not very interesting to look at most of the time, if I'm being perfectly honest with you. If you're playing the game yourself, that may be different, and it is. I do enjoy playing through this game just casually. But you've seen the entire game up to this point, and we're rounding up to the end of it. If you were not going for the best ending, this would be the last dungeon in the game for you. So, I mean, let that be what it is. But rounding off to the end of it, what else is there to say, really? I should be talking more about the enemies that we encounter and how you are best to deal with them. But as you can see, mixing Megiddola with switching to using weapons is pretty much the dominant strategy in this game. You can also do the same with guns. Insta-kills are gonna be a pain in your ass no matter what. If an insta-kill goes off and kills your teammate, there's really nothing you can do about it because it's a fucking insta-kill, and, Shin Megami Tensei games are known for their insta-kills, so you're just gonna have to take it take it with a grain of salt, let the enemy, or let your teammate die and then keep battling. Because you can see that even though I lose teammates occasionally, my guys are pretty strong enough to hold up on their own. So the worst comes to worst, I just need to heal somebody back to full health after a fight. There are points in this game where that isn't true at all, and insta-kills are ungodly fair, which is coming up, basically, after this final dungeon, quote-unquote. The game gets a little tough, like, the enemy encounters you find leading up to the true final boss can be kind of a pain in the dick, but, I'm gonna give you some ways to alleviate that. As you already know, I've been trying to give you my best impressions on how to take on these dungeons, and for the most part, that just leads to you using Megidola and swapping to using auto attack, or auto weapon, or auto guns on occasion. It's nothing too complicated, is I think the problem with Persona 1, where a lot of it is automated. You can get away with using auto battle way too frequently. And while that does make it ease of access, this is another save tree, which I did not need to come talk to, but I did anyway. I'm afraid, I'm sorry. No save tree, we do not need to save today. Thank you, though. No, this is the wrong way, too. And here we have some secret agent robots. I'm pretty sure we fought these already, but, I mean, hey. Secret agent robots, right? What's there to complain about? These guys are pretty bulky. They have a lot of health. That does not mean they're much more difficult to handle. They just have more health. But coming up to the end of this game, where we are, I would recommend you start grinding. You don't have to be level 60-ish at this point. I am kind of over-leveled for that, to be perfectly honest with you. But I did want to be able to make sure I could show off what you get for making all the right decisions in the game, aside from the true ending. You do get something really cool, and I can't remember if I've been hiding this fact for the rest of the game, so I'm not going to spoil it here just in case, but you do get something really neat, and I grinded to make sure that I could show those off. So that's my explanation for why I'm fucking stupid broken right now. However, I'm not broken enough to not be persuaded away from insta-kills. Insta-kills can still take me out. If I run into a bad enemy combination, I could probably still be killed pretty easily. I've tried to mitigate that as best I can with my current setup, and I'm sure there's much better personas to use to prevent yourself from insta-dying or whatever. But this is the combination of personas I tend to stick to, so that's kind of another thing that makes this game really cool for yourself, is you can play the game and find your own favorite personas to use, and, you know, you can forge your own path, as you will. But the fact of dominant strategy does not change, unfortunately. For those of you who don't know, dominant strategy in video games is if you find something that works, there's no reason to do anything else. And that's unfortunately true for the Megidola strategies. Once you have Megidola, like, why would you use anything else, right? Like, that's the process that your brain should be going through, so I'm doing a poor job of showing off what the game has to offer as far as customization goes, but I want to make that completely clear right here. You can choose whatever personas you want. You can build your team of party members to use whatever personas you like. You do not have to do what I do. You do not have to use the Megidola strategy and cheese all the fights. In fact, if you want a challenge, you probably should avoid using the strategy. I say this a lot, but for the sake of the Let's Play and showing the game off at its very basic, I do want to make sure that the Let's Play goes as smooth as possible. And because this is an RPG, I don't want to experiment too much in the middle of an LP. I want to make sure it goes as smooth as possible, so that stuff doesn't fuck up and I lose a lot of time, because this is a Japanese, or a JRPG, or an RPG in general, where if I die and I have not saved, which for a Let's Play, you don't want to save too much, because in case your recording fucks up and you have to keep going and do it all again. I can't save, so if I die and lose all that progress, that's like so much that I have to go back and do. So that's the reason why I'm using this dominant strategy to get through the game, even though it's not that interesting for me to play, and it's probably not that interesting for you guys to watch, but it is what it is. Persona 1 is very old. I don't remember what this is. Oh, it's just a room with some dudes in it. Hello. Humans only think of themselves. Better that they be wiped from the earth. Humans hate and kill each other, ruining the planet for their own desires. We're a complete failure as a species. You know, this is completely on point. I'm not gonna deny any of that. The human race as a species is pretty shitty. You know, not everybody is terrible, but we as a species are not very good. Let's all sit here and admit that right now. The sooner we admit it, the sooner we can all move on with our lives and make things better. But I don't. So you've been looking at Deva Yuga this whole time. I've been ranting on about the game, and it looks like there's a bunch of winding corridors that you can get lost in. But for the most part, it's just like, oh, I went down a dead end, and it's like a small dead end, so it's not like you're gonna get lost too bad. So it's you can't get lost in Deva Yuga. You're gonna, if you keep pushing forward into areas that you have not been. Which, if you're looking at your map, everywhere you've walked is yellow, so if you keep going into areas that are not yellow, you will eventually find yourself to the staircase that leads you further into the dungeon. Like, it's impossible to get lost in Deva Yuga. Which is good, because that means I don't have to awkwardly look at a map. So, you know, that's always fun. I have familiarized myself with the last few, well, I familiarized myself with the next 2 dungeons, but the very last dungeon, you're gonna laugh at me when we get to it, but I'll save that for when we get to it. But yeah, I made sure that getting through that final dungeon is gonna be not such a pain in the ass. Again, I can restate that if you are having trouble with any of these demons, you can use the contact feature, which I for some reason forget about most of the time. Contacting a demon will get you its spell card. Or if it's too high level for you, you can just make the demon go away. Which is beneficial to you if you're having trouble fighting a demon that could insta-kill you or something like that. So if you're playing this game normally, you should be saving every chance you get. Just putting that out there. Every chance you run into a save tree, do not do what I do. Make sure you fucking save. Because when you die, that's bad, but at least you'll be right back at the last save you did, which should be very often. So, if you're finding yourself getting killed by a demon that just keeps insta-gibbing you, use the contact strategy. If you contact a demon, you can make him go the fuck away, and that's pretty much all there is to it. Get him the fuck out of your face, so you don't have to deal with him anymore, and I guess that's Persona 1's biggest strength, I think, is that you can use the game's elements to your advantage, and it kind of feels like cheating sometimes, but it's not. You're using what the game gives you to make your time easier, especially considering this is a Shin Megami Tensei game, which, for the most part, this is a thing that Shin Megami Tensei has been doing since its inception. You can talk to demons and make them go away, which is kind of interesting because you make the difficulty as hard as you want it to be by choosing to, you know, try to conversate with a demon, which conversating with demons is already pretty cool because you get to see what they say, all the cool stuff that they tell you. Sometimes they're funny, sometimes they're dicks, and it's still funny because you can laugh at it, and all that, so that's pretty neat. But SMT for a while, its contacting demon system was really butt, where there's a lot of RNG to talking to demons in, say, Shin Megami Tensei 1 for the Super Nintendo. Sometimes it feels like even if you say one thing to them, they'll fucking just decide to be douchebags to you for no fucking reason. And then you'll say the exact same to them, you'll say the same thing to them the next time you see them, and it'll work, and you're like, cool, what the fuck did I do different, right? But you didn't do anything different. You did the exact same thing and got different results. So it's like the definition of insanity if the definition of insanity was wrong. choosing to do the same thing over and over again will get you different results. And that's kind of stupid, because you should be rewarded for memorization. Like, choosing the right dialogue options for a demon should be the reward to the player that, oh, you figured that out, so now as long as you remember what to say to that demon, you are in control of your own destiny. Like, that's the reward gameplay-wise. But nope. Sometimes RNG can just be a big bitch. And that's never good. That's never fun for anybody, if we're being perfectly honest with one another. Which, I'm always honest with you, baby. Don't worry. Mwah. We're running into the same enemies now, so I'm just gonna Astoma and kind of work my way through. I'm tired of fighting enemies. So, as you can see here, all these dead ends are where you'd be like, oh, well, I can't go that way. And most of the time, you can see the dead ends on the screen before you even get to them, so that's pretty... you can just avoid them. Mankind doesn't need a future. You think so too, right? Oh, shit. My head, it hurts. Let judgment fall on mankind. What's the meaning of this? Everyone's spouting identical nonsense. Sorry, I thought you said ideal. My brain was trying to read ideal, but I knew it wasn't ideal. Metal card, Tanzanite, and HP incense. Which, by the way, if we go into our inventory, we do have a lot of these items that we can use that increase our character's stats permanently. So you can come in here and use all those to get rid of them, which I think I'm gonna do right quick. Just to get them out of the way, because we have a lot of them. I do not need Dex, and I don't think I need Agility, but I do need Luck. You can dump some of these on your other characters if you want. Most people probably won't for good reason, because they want to max out their own personal character, which is pretty much, not required, but suggested, because your character is pretty OP on his own. But I do think we're winding up to the end of this place. We should be, at least, because we are pretty deep into it, kids. Okay, so yeah, we're coming up to a little puzzle here. And you're gonna want to avoid the first opening you see, because this is the opening. Don't go there. Keep going to the right and follow this top path, and you will find a switch. If you recall the earlier episodes, this may look familiar to you. You press the switch on the wall. Stick to the side of the wall here, because there is a hole in the middle of this square, like right there, and you'll fall through, which you don't want right now. Press this switch, and once you've pressed all the switches, then we fall. And here we have a Velvet Room, and I'm pretty sure it's another save, or it's an item shop, but we do not need to be here. If you need to be here, then by all means make use of the Velvet Room. And this is a save tree. As expected, but we don't need to be here. So that's fine, we're just gonna take off. Bye-bye, save tree. It was nice talking to you. Do not go down that corridor, because you will fall back down to the very first floor, and that would be annoying. What we are after is coming over here. More people to talk to after we get some of these. Amethyst, opal. Oh, poop. I went through the doorway. We've got people to talk to, game. Dang it. I was pooted on. The box pooted on me and poisoned me. That is some BS, but thankfully, Maki still has Pasamundi. So we're good. Why was mankind created to begin with? Hee. The hammer of judgment will come down on the species of fools. Hee. Mankind needs no future. Mankind ill needs a savior such as you. Die, monster! Oh boy. Isn't video games good, kids? Isn't video games good? Okie doke, so we have another puzzle here. And what you're trying to do is light up all the panels on the floor, which is really easy. You only need to make a plus sign to open this door. Bada boom! And through this door, I'm pretty sure is the boss fight, so be prepared to fight this guy. But if you've been following my guide and you've upgraded your characters and bought all the guns that I told you to buy, you're gonna see how pathetic this is. But this is the final boss, so let's giddy up, kids. We finally found you. You're not going anywhere this time. You guys are so aggravating. I won't let you get in Daddy's way. That's enough, Aki. Stay back. But, Daddy... Wait in the other room. I'll be with you soon. Okay, Daddy. Stop causing all this pain. Turn everyone back to normal. Don't worry. I won't do anything further. What the hell's with you? Decided to beg for your life all of a sudden? What are you living for? Huh? People aren't strong enough to live without a goal. Everyone wants something. No matter how small the desire, it gives them the strength to carry on. But if every desire is fulfilled, what's left to strive for? When one's wishes have been granted, the only thing that awaits is a bottomless solitude, an eternal emptiness. Then wouldn't it be better if one chooses not to ascend the stairs of desire? That way, one's dreams are kept alive. I kept ascending the stair to destroy this worthless world, but it no longer matters. Right now, nothing is beyond my grasp. The winds of solitude and emptiness blow within me. Such is a god's lot. Boy, I allowed you to come here in order to ask you this. Why do you cling to life? Dumbass, how old are you? And you don't even know that yet? We're alive so we can do the best we can, every second of every day. You're always so frickin' sulky. It's not good for you, man. You gotta look on the sunny side. Why else? To kill you and put an end to your filthy bloodline. Until I do that, I can't give my mother the happiness she deserves. You, boy, I haven't heard your answer yet. What are you living for? And just like before, we have a similar answer to when we were asked this question. We are living to find our reason. That's right. Our reason for living, we may never understand it, but I still believe in myself. With or without a reason, I'm going to live a life I won't regret. Kendori, just stop this. It's painful seeing you so far on a limb. What? Surely you must know. The seat of power you've reached by using people is no divine throne. Deep down, you know none of it was your doing. You miserable. You're suffering. You despair at your inability to live any other way. Stop. The same goes for her wish to erase mankind. It stems from one's anxiety for the future. Silence. I want to risk it, but I can't. If only I could disappear. Did you think burdening all mankind with your fears would make them go away? Why continue rationalizing your neurosis with these grandiose principles? No one knows the foolishness of that more than you. I cannot forgive your offenses against God. I'll cleanse you from this world. Looks like you're finally ready to throw down. Can you defeat me? Can you protect the things you claim are precious? For my mother and my friends, I'll kill you. Then prove it before God's throne. You won't get an easy death. Are you prepared for that? Shut up. That's our line. If what Nanjo said is true, there's still time. Stop this nonsense and bring back our town, our world. You tell a god to condone nonsense? That too is a grave sin. A god commands and condemns. Condemns? Condemns. It does not lend an ear to the pleas of vermin. Spout that crap in hell. I'll send you straight there. Kandori. We'll close this curtain on this farce, if that's what you wish. And thus we have another boss battle with Bloody Destiny playing in the background, which, by the way, is entirely fitting for this. But yeah, now we have Kandori. Kandori has a lot of weaknesses, but he's resistant to a lot of things as well. Most of your weapons he doesn't take much damage from, or he just takes base damage from it. He is, I don't actually know what that is. Throwing weapons he takes extra damage from, which is not that impressive. But for the most part, he takes a lot of damage from tech, all of your guns, and any spell except for fire, nuclear, blast, gravity, and expel, which is dark magic, basically. And he takes the most damage from miracle, which is like light magic. He takes the most damage from that, which is 2.5 times damage. But if you want my honest opinion, and this is a 2-stage boss fight, and for both stages of this boss fight, all you have to do is shoot him. He takes 2 times damage from guns, and because we have guns that shoot multiple times, the best way to go about getting this guy's health down is to simply shoot him. But first, we want to switch our forms up to make sure that Maki is close enough to use her guns. So we'll switch to Form 4, and we'll have Nanjo shoot him, but that'll be it, because when you switch forms up, you don't get a chance to use any of your other characters. But now that we have everybody in position, I should have recommended that you do this before we started the fight, so I'm sorry. So if you're watching this before you do the fight, make sure that Maki is able to be in shooting range of Kandori before you do anything. But yes, have every character shoot Kandori, except for Mark, who will be on Meteorama duty, which is heal. And with that done, all you have to do is hit replay, and that's it. He will just be shot to death because he really has no chance. So with someone healing and everybody shooting, he can't do jack shit to us. He is done. This is the end of Kandori right here. This is the final boss fight in the game, rendered completely useless because our guns are amazing. Ugh. I refuse to accept this. I'm supposed to have transcended man. Who am I? I am Takahashi Kandori, the man who transcended humanity. I really needed to get some water in my throat because that voice hurts when your throat's dry. What the? Something's forcing itself into me. Ho 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 ho. Foolish man who has gone astray. I shall give you the power you desire. No! What the? Holy shit. Have his body and soul been dominated by the persona? I am Kandori. God Kandori. And yes, Kandori has fused with Nyarlathotep, which is his persona, which I don't think was brought up to this point, so yes. His persona is something called Nyarlathotep. And he's kind of important to the plot, but we won't know that until later. But yes, now we have to fight God Kandori. And God Kandori is different from normal Kandori. Most of his weaknesses have been swapped, except for the guns. The guns still do the same amount of damage. But now, like, instead of tech damage doing a lot of damage to him, Rush does a lot of damage to him, while tech has been, like, cut in half or whatever. And now fire does a lot of damage to him, but the rest of the spells do not. And nuclear blast and gravity, along with curse damage, now does damage to him, while miracle, he heals if you use miracle on him for whatever reason. So for the most part, his boss fight is still the same. We're still gonna shoot the ever-living shit out of him. My strategy for this is dust this bitch. All right, if I remember to put the clip in there, If not, that's going to just be an awkward pause, but yes, we are just going to continue to shoot him because that is the best course of action. They do have they have an insta-kill move, which is pretty shitty, but for the most part, he just does miracle damage. He does miracle damage, Kandori did curse damage. They both have an insta-kill, and they can prevent you from healing, I think. But aside from that, Kandori uses Mirakian, I believe, which is an all-fire spell, and this guy uses Matsuyadyne, which you can see there, it's an all-electric spell. So, that aside, all you have to do is just shoot the shit out of him, and he will go down relatively quickly. If you're weaker than me, you may have a bigger problem with this, so you can buff your team's defense if you have the persona to do that. You can weaken his attack, you can have personas that resist electricity, which Reiji does. He absorbs electricity, so he can't be hurt by it, and I'm pretty sure some of our personas do not take damage from Miracle, so we are pretty much A-okay. All we have to do is keep unloading our guns into this. We just have to keep dusting this bitch. And eventually he will go down. And there we go. The final boss defeated. And everybody gets a level up. Not everybody, but most people get a level up. To be defeated, so... You were absolutely correct, young Nanjo. This was the only way I knew. Maybe I summoned you here because I wanted to hear someone say it. I must seem a fool, but I feel remarkably content. Where's the real Maki? Ah, you've solved the mystery of the two worlds. I'm not surprised. Kay? What do you mean? You and the people of your world were mere figments of a certain imagination. Maki Sanomura's... Huh? What are you saying? What does that mean? You're probably the idealized self of Maki Sanomura that we know. And the town you live in is the world inside Maki Sanomura's heart. Am I correct, Kandori? Yes. And not only her. Mai and Aki are also shadows within Maki Sanomura's heart. All of you are nothing more than aspects of her. No, that's not... Maki, Mai, Aki. Simple anagrams. Maki must have conceived of her own paradise in her heart, one modeled off her memories of Mikage until the day she was hospitalized. No way. Then there was no police station or hospital because... They have no place in paradise. She only had room for what was useful. It's a common sentiment. Chisato and Yosuke were no doubt drawn in by Maki's unconscious desires. When it came to her crush and her best friend, she wanted the genuine article. The trial run of the Davis system succeeded roughly a month ago. But she was linked to the system even before then. Her wavelength must have synchronized with the systems. Once she had internalized the power to interfere with the dimensions, the paradise within her heart seems to have grown beyond our imaginations. And you came into contact with Mai, caretaker of that paradise. Mai, no. That Maki was isolated. She had her role for the ideal Maki. To provide the world she'd always wanted as comfort for Maki in the real world. You know the rest. You're lying. None of that makes sense. Then go. Meet your true self. She is here, in this castle. But I'm me. This is too much. Maki! Aren't you going after her? You're the only one who can save her, you know. Maki Sanomura. She needs to discover her true self. If she doesn't, she'll share my fate. Hold on. Not to ruin the moment, but I needed another swig of water. Doing these raspy voices hurts the throat a little bit. Go to her. Don't let her go down that lonely path. What a pitiful man. Daniel, we gotta look for Maki. And now we have control again. I finally killed the bastard. Then why this empty feeling? It's gotta be a lie. It's too much for Maki. Kandori looks peaceful in death. I've been thinking it over all this time, and my conclusion still surprises me. Oh, my nose itches. But yeah, we took out Kandori. He's dead. That was the final boss, if you're going for the normal ending. So, yeah, be proud if you were going for the regular not good ending, because that was the final boss and you beat the game. But of course, we have much more to do, because we're going for the true ending. And that will happen next time, because that's all the time we have for this one. A hero's work is never done. Join me again next time as we continue to tackle Persona 1. Later days, everybody.